Good morning, it's just Patrick here from Complete Health. Wanted to jump on and just to discuss what I was doing. This is how exciting I am knowing that I'm coming back into the clinic first thing on a Saturday morning, which was, what was I doing on a Friday night? I was watching David Attenborough's Planet Earth. Now, this is probably one of my favorite programs of all time, period. For two reasons. I absolutely love David Attenborough, and I actually really enjoy seeing just how detailed and amazing that these guys are at recording and observing what's happening in the world around us. So many of these things we wouldn't even know about if people like David Attenborough and his film crews were not going out and actually looking at these things. Now, the hardest thing for me when I watch these programs is seeing how we are having such a huge influence and impact on the planet as a result of our negative behaviours. Now, these negative behaviours are not only affecting our planet, they're actually also very seriously affecting our health. Now, most people will be completely unaware of some of the health implications of how we behave as humans, and not even aware of the fact that if your neighbour drops a piece of litter on the ground, how much that starts to affect our bodies and our health. Now, let me explain why. Because when we look at the way that we behave and the rubbish and really the stuff that we are destroying in our ecosystem, from what these amazing people are looking at, we actually start to cause a catastrophic effect of how certain chemicals and stuff end up back in our ecosystem, and how this has a huge impact on our health. So some of the things that they have linked to us destroying the ecosystem and how they've started to affect us. So by destroying our ecosystem, we're actually got a higher increased risk of cancer. By destroying our ecosystem, we have a reduced level of fertility. With destroying our ecosystem, we have a higher risk of coronary heart disease and obesity and diabetes and all. Now, let me explain why. Because why on earth would dumping plastic on the floor cause for me to get cancer? Now, the reality of it obviously is plastic that potentially someone is throwing in the bin or throwing away ends up somewhere. Plastic is one of those things that cannot break down. Now, how does that impact you and your health? Well, what ends up happening is that plastic ends up back in the ocean. The plastic drops to the bottom of the ocean. The crustaceans in the bottom of the ocean start to eat the plastic. The fish start to eat the crustaceans. The fish starts to get eaten by the whales, and it ends up in their ecosystem, so it ends up in our food. Now, if you actually test something like fish, 98 or 90% of them test up positive for having chemicals such as plastic in it. Now, what relevance has that got to our health? Well, if we're getting plastic in our fish, guess what's happening? That's ending up in our bodies. Now, if that ends up in our bodies, plastic inside of our body represents estrogen. Now, if you're a male, do you want your body representing estrogen? Absolutely not. So this is when we start to see changes both hormonally and physically on our body, and how that starts to have an impact on our health. So by just dropping plastic on the floor, you're having a major impact on your health. By the way, if you catch someone else doing the same thing, same problem. For every hour and a half of the day that goes past, roughly 250 million pounds of plastic find their way into the ocean, and that ends up back in our ecosystem. Now, that is not the only way that we're impacting our health by destroying our environment. Palm oil. Now, anybody that says they don't eat palm oil, they're almost definitely lying, because it's almost always in something. So palm oil is an oil that we use for baked goods in the supermarket, so stuff like cakes, biscuits, breads, flours, like anything baked goods. Typically now they're using palm oil instead of butter. So if you look at the Amazon rainforest, I think this is something like 250 hectares per hour are cut down in order to create space for palm oil, which twofold destroys the ozone layer, which is eventually going to have a negative impact on our health, destroys the habitat of life like orangutans. So we're going to extinct orangutans in the next 20 years. And finally, palm oil is a really low, poor and quality oil which massively impacts our health and drives up stuff like coronary heart disease and obesity, and also is really high in omega-6 and 9, which is really bad for fuzzing up the arteries in our body. So by cutting down the rainforest and putting a load of palm oil in, and by the way, look, these are the kinds of things that when I watch an episode of David Attenborough, I'm going, oh my God, like, this is amazing, but this is what we're doing. And so it almost kills me inside to watch these amazing programs and then just realize that 90% of the stuff that's coming onto the Planet Earth movies potentially won't be there in the next 50 years, especially based on what's going on right now with all the plastic consumption that we're using for plastic gloves, aprons. So where we can, it's really worth us actually, taking in consideration on those things and actually having a look at how those things impact us. The final one, really, that I know has a huge impact both on our health but also on our environment, and this is just one of those things that I pick up from watching David Attenborough. I also watched The Plastic Ocean this week. Really good documentary if you want to know how we're slowly killing our environment. And by the way, this impacts everyone. This impacts everyone and impacts everyone's health, because all of a sudden if we deforest the globe, guess what? We don't have enough oxygen. If we don't have enough oxygen, we don't survive. So it's as simple as that. And I know everyone thinks it's not as simple as that. It is as simple as that. So the last thing that we deforest for, and again, this really has a huge impact on stuff like orangutans, is for mass agriculture. Most cattle are farmed off where rainforests are because the ground is very fertile. They can reproduce. Now that has a twofold impact both on our health and the environment. By cutting a load of trees down, we're actually reducing the amount of oxygen. By bringing a load of cattle in, we're actually increasing methane, so hugely increasing those CO2 emissions. Now, the other thing as well is those mass farmed agriculture areas in the world, so places like in the Amazon rainforest, are also fed 99.9% grain, which means that these cows actually become sick, has a huge impact on our health. So just by triggering off and listening to some of those things I actually listed off earlier, and actually just looking at, say for example, something like watching David Attenborough, a really amazing, super detailed, oh my God, out of this world program. But if you listen to him now, David Attenborough is talking about how we really seriously need to save the environment. Now, like I say, I'm completely on his side because we need to save the environment to save our health. Watch our health deteriorate as our environment deteriorates. Watch our health deteriorate as our environment deteriorates. And you can even see that within our own lifestyles, within our own homes. We're using more chemicals, we're using worse foods, higher processes, longer nights, lights, whatever. And if you actually look at the history of health through the human race, health is not getting better. Health is actually getting worse. We're seeing increased levels of cancer. We're seeing increased levels of heart disease. We're seeing increased levels of diabetes, arthritis. And the thing is, right, is we're spending more money on healthcare than we've ever spent before, yet actually all of these diseases are rising. So if we're spending the most we've ever spent on healthcare, surely disease should go down, but it's not. So look at your environment, look at your impact, look at yourself and ask yourself, is there something that we could do both for our own health, both for our environment, and see if we can actually start to change the health, not only of ourselves, but those people around us and the world. Super deep and meaningful. This is a big thing for me. I downsized my car last year. Like I say, I turned vegan because I know that it was more carbon efficient. It's not perfect. I still use plastic. I try and avoid plastic. I am 100% on board with the fact that they've just banned plastic straws and earbuds. I think it's a super good thing that the government have just done that. I think they should be banning more plastic. I think they should be banning plastic on all fruits and vegetables in the supermarkets. Everything. Until tomorrow, guys, I'll see you soon.